Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Vaibhav Jyotsna Srivastav with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserts that the government is committed to enhancing the growth of eastern parts of the country. 7 terrorists gunned down in 2 encounters in South Kashmir. Group of ministers review COVID-19 situation and expansion of vaccination across the country. More than 131,000 new coronavirus cases reported in the last 24 hours. Complete lockdown to be imposed in Chhattisgarh capital Raipur from this evening till the 19th of April. All preparations in place for the 4th phase of assembly elections in West Bengal tomorrow. Election Commission issues notice to TMC Chief Mamata Banerjee on her statements against central forces. Prime Minister to hold virtual summit with his Dutch counterpart Mark Rutte. This evening, direct tax collections for last financial year go up by 5% to 9.45 lakh crore rupees. The 11th round of talks between India and China underway at Chushul in eastern Ladakh. And 14th edition of Indian Premier League begins in Chennai this evening. Mumbai Indians to meet Royal Challengers Bangalore in the inaugural match. As the number of COVID cases is on the rise again, we appeal to our listeners not to lower their guard, follow all precautions and all those above 45 years to get vaccinated without any hesitation. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has asserted that the government is committed to enhance the growth of the eastern parts of the country that has been neglected for far too long. Speaking at the book launch ceremony of Hindi version of the Odisha Tihars written by Dr Mahath in New Delhi today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterated that the centre has a focused approach for growth in all areas which need immediate attention.
करीब 1.5 वर्ष पहले हम सब ने उत्कल केसरी हरे कृष्ण महताब जी की 100वीं जयंती बहुत ही एक प्रेरणा के अवसर के रूप में मनाई थी। आज हम उनकी प्रसिद्ध किताब ओडिशा इतिहास के हिंदी संस्करण का लोकार्पण कर रहे हैं। ओडिशा का व्यापक और विविधताओं से भरा इतिहास देश के लोगों तक पहुंचे, यह बहुत आवश्यक है। ओडिया और अंग्रेजी के बाद हिंदी संस्करण के जरिए आपने इस आवश्यकता को पूरा किया है। मैं इस अभिनव प्रयास के लिए हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं देता हूं।
Highlighting the special projects for the northeastern states and eastern region, Mr. Modi said the government has initiated several key projects for development of infrastructure and industries in the region. He said the centre is committed towards the blue revolution for the betterment of fishermen in the country living along the coastal lines. Mr. Modi also added that new schemes and projects are in the pipeline to support the blue revolution in the country. He said Odisha has flourished with a wide network of national highways, coastal ways, oil and gas pipelines. Speaking about former Odisha Chief Minister and author of the book Odisha Tihars, Dr Mahath, the Prime Minister said he was not only a notable figure in the Indian independence movement, but was also a political personality who contributed a lot in the making of modern Odisha. He said Dr Mahath played a stellar role in some of the scientific developments in the country and led a life of a freedom fighter even after independence and strongly believed in his principles and values.
आजादी के बाद उन्होंने ओडिशा के मुख्यमंत्री के रूप में बड़े-बड़े फैसले लिए। ओडिशा के भविष्य को गढ़ने के लिए अनेक प्रयास किए। शहरों का आधुनिकीकरण, पोर्ट का आधुनिकीकरण, स्टील प्लांट, ऐसे कितने ही कार्यों में उनकी बहुत बड़ी भूमिका रही। साथियों, सत्ता में पहुंचकर भी वो हमेशा पहले अपने आप को एक स्वाधीनता सेनानी ही मानते थे और वो जीवन पर्यंत स्वाधीनता सेनानी बने रहे। ये बात आज के जनप्रतिनिधियों को हैरत में डाल सकती हैं कि जिस पार्टी से वो मुख्यमंत्री बने थे आपातकाल में, उसी पार्टी का विरोध करते हुए वो जेल गए थे.
The Prime Minister said Dr Mahath played a critical role in the development of Odisha, expressing his immense pleasure at the launch of the Hindi version of the book in the year when the country is celebrating Amrit Mahotsav of independence. Mr Modi said Odisha is the perfect example of India's diverse culture and rich history, and it will also be reflected in the Independence Festival. He said to read the Odisha Tihars book is to know Odisha.
इसका हिंदी प्रकाशन वाकई कितने सुखद संयोगों से जुड़ा हुआ है. ये पुस्तक एक ऐसे साल में प्रकाशित हुई है जब देश आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव मना रहा है. इसी साल उस घटना को भी 100 साल पूरे हो रहे हैं जब हरे कृष्ण मेहताब जी कॉलेज छोड़कर आजादी की लड़ाई से जुड़ गए थे.
The book, available in Odia and English so far, has been translated into Hindi by Shankar Lal Purohit. Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan and Member of Parliament Lok Sabha Bhartrihari Mehtab were also present on the occasion. The event marking the release of the Hindi version was organized by Hari Krishna Mehtab Foundation. Dr Mahath served as the Chief Minister of Odisha from 1946 to 1950 and from 1956 to 1961. He wrote the book Odisha Tihars in Ahmednagar Fort Jail, where he was imprisoned for more than 2 years during 1942 to 1945.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, 7 terrorists among terror outfit Ansar Ghazwat-ul-Hind chief were gunned down by security forces in 2 different encounters in South Kashmir last evening. Jammu and Kashmir DGP Dilbagh Singh spoke to AIR and gave details about the operations.
दो अलग-अलग एनकाउंटर चल रहे थे. पहला तो शोपियां टाउन में था जो पिछले लगभग 24 घंटे से ऑन था और वो अभी खत्म हुआ है. उसमें 5 आतंकी थे जो किसी का घर में छुपे हुए थे. ऑपरेशन के दौरान घर को छोड़ करके मस्जिद में घुस गए थे. फोर्सेस ने, पुलिस ने मिलकर के बड़े एहतियात से ऑपरेशन पूरा कंडक्ट किया है और 5 के 5 टेररिस्ट मारे गए हैं. और इसके अलावा जो दूसरा ऑपरेशन आज ही अर्ली मॉर्निंग शुरू हुआ था वो तराल अवंतीपुरा में हुआ था. उसमें भी 2 टेररिस्ट मारे गए हैं. ये दोनों टेररिस्ट ग्रुप एक ही टेररिस्ट आउटफिट से वाबस्ता है. इनकी अंसार गजवत-उल-हिंद जो है उसके साथ एसोसिएशन थी. जी, इसमें से 7 AK राइफल और 2 पिस्टल पकड़े गए हैं जो कि बहुत बड़ी कैच है.
Search operations at both the encounters sites is going on till last reports came in. Further details are awaited. Health and Family Welfare Minister Dr Harshvardhan has expressed concern over the rising cases of COVID-19 in the country. He said casual approach and laxity of the people towards COVID-19 has resulted in the sudden spike of fresh cases. While chairing the 24th Group of Ministers meeting on COVID-19 today, Dr Harshvardhan assured that all the facilities required to tackle rising cases are maintained well. He informed that over 15,000 dedicated healthcare facilities are functional in the country and there are over 18 lakh beds for COVID patients. On the vaccination front, the minister said India is inoculating at a faster rate.
Today at 9 o'clock, the latest figures suggest that 9,43,34,262 doses have been given to people in India of the various priority groups. And in the last 24 hours itself, we have given 36,91,511 doses. This figure, in fact, in last week, we one day even gave 43 lakh doses. This is probably the highest given anywhere in the whole world.
The minister said 6,45 lakh doses of vaccines have been exported to 84 countries by India so far.
India has administered over 9,43 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses in the country so far. The Union Health Ministry said more than 36 lakh 91,000 beneficiaries have been vaccinated in the last 24 hours. A total of 1,31,968 new cases have been reported in the country over the same period, taking the cumulative positive cases to over 1,30 lakh. In the same time period, 780 deaths were reported, taking the toll to over 1,67,000 across the country. 10 states including Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Karnataka, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat and Rajasthan have shown a rise in the COVID daily new cases. Over 83% of the new cases are reported from these 10 states. Maharashtra has reported the highest daily new cases of over 56,000, followed by Chhattisgarh with 10,652 cases. The country's COVID-19 recovery rate is at 91.22%, with total recovery of more than 61,000 patients in the last 24 hours. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is over 9,79,000. The Indian Council of Medical Research said more than 13,64,000 tests for COVID-19 were conducted during the last 24 hours. In Chhattisgarh, cases of corona infection are increasing steadily. More than 10,600 new COVID-positive patients have been identified in the state yesterday. With this, the total number of corona-infected cases in Chhattisgarh has crossed the 4 lakh mark. Yesterday, 72 people have died due to COVID. At present, 68,125 people are being treated in various hospitals or are in home isolation in the state. In view of the current situation of corona infection, the total lockdown is being imposed in Raipur district from this evening. More from our Raipur correspondent.
In Raipur district of Chhattisgarh, the total lockdown will be imposed from 6 p.m. today. This lockdown will continue till the morning of April 19. During these 10 days, except for petrol pumps, medicine shops and LPG agencies, no other business establishment will be allowed to open. Government and private offices as well as banks will also remain closed. The borders of the district will be sealed for 10 days. People are rushing to the market to buy essential commodities. To ensure the availability of essential goods to the people and also to prevent black marketing, the Raipur district administration has formed 9 teams. These teams are conducting surprise inspections in the shops. Total lockdown will also be imposed in Rajnandgaon and Bemitra district of the state from tomorrow. Earlier, in the Durg district, the lockdown has already been imposed from April 6. Meanwhile, the vaccination campaign in Chhattisgarh is also continuing vigorously. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
Madhya Pradesh recorded 4,324 new cases of COVID yesterday and 2,296 patients were discharged from hospitals during this period. More from our Bhopal correspondent.
The state fatality count rose to 4,113 as 27 patients succumbed to the infection in the last 24 hours. Indore reported 898 new cases, while Bhopal reported 657 cases. There are over 6,500 active cases in Indore at present, while Bhopal has active cases over 4,500. The number of active cases are more than 28,000 and positivity rate stands at 12.9% in the state. In view of the increasing number of cases, the number of beds and supply of oxygen in hospitals is being increased. COVID care centers have been set up in each district. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
Amid the spike in COVID cases in the state, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is reviewing the situation today. He's visiting the most affected areas and also has sent the Health Minister and the Medical Education Minister of State to visit 4 districts each where corona cases are rising. After reviewing the COVID situation and the status of vaccination in the state, the Chief Minister will visit Prayagraj district where corona cases are rising and will take stock of the health facilities in the district. He will then go to Varanasi where a meeting regarding the COVID-19 and related facilities is scheduled at the Banaras Hindu University. In Gujarat, the SVP Hospital of Ahmedabad will now operate as an exclusive COVID-19 hospital. This was decided following the surge in new cases in Ahmedabad. Our correspondent reports that earlier 500 beds at the hospital were allotted for the COVID-19 patients, whereas the remaining beds were reserved for patients of other illnesses.
Deputy Chief Minister of Gujarat, Nitin Patel, has said that patients with other illness will be discharged in a phased manner over the next 4-5 days from SVP hospital. Thus, 500 more beds will be added for COVID-19 patients in SVP hospital. He said that at least 1,700 more beds made available for COVID-19 patients in Ahmedabad alone. Ahmedabad has recorded 951 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday. Meanwhile, Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation has announced the commencement of remdesivir injections distribution from SUP hospital as per availability of stock. According to sources, the distribution is meant for those COVID-19 patients who are admitted in private hospitals with which AMC has signed MOUs. Yogesh Pandya, AR News, Ahmedabad.
Kerala continues to report a surge in COVID cases with 4,353 new COVID cases being confirmed yesterday. Our Thiruvananthapuram correspondent says presently 33,621 patients are undergoing treatment for COVID-19 in the state.
The health condition of Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, who tested COVID positive yesterday, is stable. The former Chief Minister Umman Chandi also tested COVID positive. Meanwhile, the office of State Chief Electoral Officer is closed as many employees became COVID positive. 18 more deaths were confirmed due to COVID lately, taking the death toll due to COVID to 4,728 in the state. As Kerala is facing a second wave of COVID infection, the COVID restrictions are tightened and preventive measures are being stringently implemented across the state. Health Department had warned that the coming 3 weeks are very crucial. All the people involved in the election process are directed to undergo compulsory RT-PCR test. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
Mumbai Mayor Kishori Pednekar has claimed that there is shortage of vaccines in Mumbai and 26 out of 71 private vaccination centres had to be closed today due to the non-availability of the vaccines. She said that the consignment of 1,76,000 doses is expected to arrive in Mumbai in the afternoon and the drive will remain suspended till further orders. In Mumbai, many centres, including the Jumbo COVID Centre at BKC, suspended the drive after exhausting the stock of vaccines in the morning. Our Mumbai correspondent reports that many beneficiaries who had gathered outside various vaccination centres in the state had to return home without receiving either the first or the second dose of COVID-19 vaccine.
The Minister of State for Home, G. Kishan Reddy, today said both Covishield and Covaxin are effective and appealed to the people to take any of them without any hesitation. He visited vaccination centre at the Gandhi Hospital in Hyderabad and reviewed the process being followed over there. Later, speaking to media, he said people and government should work together to contain COVID-19. He appealed to people to come forward in a big way and make the vaccination festival a success.
दो भारत का दो कंपनी, पुणे के सीरम कंपनी और हैदराबाद के भारत बायोटेक, दोनों वैक्सीनेशन का आज प्रोडक्शन चला रहे हैं। दोनों कंपनी का प्रोडक्शन जो वैक्सीनेशन है देश में हर जगह भारत सरकार के द्वारा, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट उनके द्वारा ट्रांसपोर्ट करके प्राइमरी हेल्थ सेंटर्स में, स्पेशलाइज्ड वैक्सीनेशन सेंटर्स में लोगों को वैक्सीनेशन देने का कार्यक्रम शुरू हो गया। और अभी जो सेकंड वेव के जैसा कोरोना पॉजिटिव केसेस देश में बढ़ रहे, इसी दृष्टिकोण में और ज्यादा से ज्यादा प्रोडक्शन करके लोगों को जल्दी वैक्सीनेशन देने का कार्यक्रम भी और गवर्नमेंट मिशनरी काम कर रहे।
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserts that the government is committed to enhancing the growth of eastern parts of the country. 7 terrorists gunned down in 2 encounters in South Kashmir. Group of ministers review COVID-19 situation and expansion of vaccination across the country. More than 1,31,000 new coronavirus cases reported in the last 24 hours. Complete lockdown to be imposed in Chhattisgarh, capital Raipur, from this evening till the 19th of April. All preparations in place for the 4th phase of assembly elections in West Bengal tomorrow. The Election Commission issues notice to TMC chief Mamata Banerjee on her statements against central forces. Prime Minister to hold virtual summit with his Dutch counterpart Mark Rutte this evening. Direct tax collections for last financial year go up by 5% to 9.45 lakh crore rupees. The 11th round of talks between India and China underway at Chushul in eastern Ladakh. And the 14th edition of the Indian Premier League begins in Chennai this evening. Mumbai Indians to meet Royal Challengers Bangalore in the inaugural match. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे।
Welcome back to the Midday News. All necessary preparations have been made for the fourth phase of polling for assembly elections in West Bengal tomorrow. The state is witnessing 8-phase elections. Over 1.15 crore voters will decide the fate of 373 candidates vying for 44 seats in 5 districts in this phase. The districts are South 24 Parganas, Hooghly, Howrah, Cooch Behar and Alipurduar. More than 12,310 polling stations have been set up for this purpose. The Bharatiya Janata Party and ruling AITC are contesting for all the 44 seats, while Congress, left parties and their alliance partner, Indian Secular Front, are fighting under the banner of Sanjukta Morcha. CPIM has fielded 22 candidates, BSP 13, Congress 9, AIFB 6, ISF 4, RSP 2 and CPI 1. There are 153 independents along with 73 others also in the fray. Prominent leaders contesting in this phase include State Ministers Binay Krishna Bormon from Cooch Behar Uttar, Rabindranath Ghosh from Natabari, Javed Ahmad Khan from Kasba, Orup Biswas from Toliganj, Partho Chatterjee from Behala Paschim, Orup Rai from Howrah Madhya, Becharam Manna from Shingur, Indranil Sen from Chandanagar and Tapun Dasgupta from Shaptugram. Our correspondent has filed a report on poll preparations in Cooch Behar and Alipurduar districts in North Bengal. 42 candidates, including 3 women, are contesting for 5 seats in Alipurduar. In Cooch Behar, 70 candidates are in the fray for 9 assembly seats. Polling will start at 7 a.m. and conclude at 6:30 p.m. A report.
All arrangements are being made to ensure error-free polls at Alipurduar district in North Bengal. The distribution process of EVMs and other poll materials have begun in all the 5 assembly seats. Nearly 7,000 polling personnel have been engaged by the district administration. There are 293 all-women polling booths in Alipurduar district that would be manned by women polling personnel only. The district administration has also taken adequate security measures in all the 5 seats. At least 50% polling booths would be covered by webcasting facilities, while half section of Central Armed Police Forces have been deployed in each polling station. Manas Pratim Sharma, AR News, Alipurduar.
Our Kolkata correspondent reports that campaigning for the next phases is gaining momentum as leaders of various political parties have been crisscrossing the poll-bound constituencies. BJP President JP Nadda and star campaigner Mithun Chakraborty are holding roadshows and rallies at different seats in the North 24 Parganas district today. Senior party leader and Home Minister Amit Shah is scheduled to take part in door-to-door campaigning at Bhawanipur constituency in South Kolkata this afternoon before attending roadshows in North 24 Parganas. Trinamool Congress leader Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has addressed a rally at Jamalpur in East Bardhaman district. She will be addressing 2 more rallies today. Party leader Abhishek Banerjee is holding rallies at North 24 Parganas, while leaders of the Sanjukta Morcha are campaigning across the districts in North and South Bengal. The Election Commission has issued notice to TMC Chief and Chief Minister of West Bengal Mamata Banerjee regarding her statements against central forces on the 28th of March and the 7th of April. The poll body has asked her to explain, asking her stand by 11 a.m. tomorrow. This is the second notice issued to Banerjee by the Election Commission.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold a virtual summit with his Netherlands counterpart Mark Rutte today. During the summit, the 2 leaders will discuss the bilateral cooperation and look at new ways of strengthening the relationship. They will also exchange views on regional and global issues of mutual interest. Our correspondent reports that the summit follows the recent victory of Prime Minister Rutte in the parliamentary elections and will sustain the momentum in the bilateral relationship, provided by regular high-level interactions. More from our correspondent.
India and the Netherlands share cordial and friendly relations underpinned by shared values of democracy, rule of law and freedom. Netherlands is home to the largest Indian diaspora in continental Europe. Both countries have wide-ranging cooperation, including in areas of water management, agriculture and food processing, healthcare, smart cities and urban mobility, science and technology, renewable energy and space. The 2 countries also share a robust economic partnership, with the Netherlands being the 3rd largest investor in India. There are over 200 Dutch companies present in India, with a similar presence of Indian businesses in the Netherlands. With Dipendra Kumar, Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
Direct tax collections for the last financial year have shown a growth of almost 5% despite the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Finance Ministry informed that the provisional figures of direct tax collections for the financial year 2020-21 show that net collections are at 9.45 lakh crore rupees. The direct tax collections include corporation tax and personal income tax. The ministry said that the advance tax collections for the last financial year stand at 4.95 lakh crore rupees, which shows a growth of approximately 6.7%. It said refunds amounting to 2.61 lakh crore rupees have been issued in the financial year 2021 as against the refunds of 1.83 lakh crore rupees issued in the financial year 2019-20.
The 11th round of talks between India and China is underway at Chushul BPO in eastern Ladakh in the India side this morning. Our Leh correspondent reports that corps commanders of both the countries are to discuss disengagement from the remaining friction points in the region. After the 20th of February, the army commanders are meeting today. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh today held talks with the Defence Minister of Kazakhstan, Lieutenant General Nurian Yermekbayev in New Delhi today. During the meeting, the two ministers exchanged views to further strengthen bilateral defence cooperation in various fields. They agreed that both sides must look at the possibility of defence-industrial collaboration of mutual interest.
The 14th edition of the Indian Premier League, the Professional 2020 Cricket League, will begin today with Mumbai Indians opening their title defence against the Royal Challengers Bangalore at the Chippo grounds in Chennai. We have a report.
As the clock strikes 7:30 this evening, the world audience will once again be glued to their television sets to witness yet another Indian Premier League face-off between two of India's big hitters, Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. Virat and company will surely have to keep the bad memories of the last outing against the same team on this Chennai ground where they were bowled out on a meager score of 70. This time around, however, RCB have received a much-needed shot in the arm with last season's star performer Devdutt Padikkal available for selection after his bout with COVID. Defending champions Mumbai Indians once again look like the team to beat this season. South African skipper Quinton de Kock will surely be missed in the opening encounter as he has been undergoing his mandatory quarantine. Sports Desk, AIR News.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. National capital Delhi will have mainly clear sky. Maximum temperature is expected to be 36 degrees Celsius, while it recorded a minimum of 14 degrees. Mumbai with a mainly clear sky is expected to see a maximum temperature of around 36 degrees. It registered a minimum of 24 degrees. Chennai is expected to have a partly cloudy sky with temperature moving from minimum of 25 to maximum of 33 degrees. Kolkata will have a partly cloudy sky with possibility of moderate rain or thunderstorm. The city is expected to have a maximum temperature of around 36 degrees. It witnessed a minimum of 27 degrees. Srinagar will have a mainly clear sky. However, it may become partly cloudy towards afternoon or in the evening. The temperature will rise from a minimum of 5 to a maximum of 25 degrees. Jammu will also have a mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature was 15 degrees, maximum to be around 32. Leh is expected to have generally cloudy sky with a maximum temperature of around 10 degrees. The minimum temperature was -4 degrees Celsius. Gilgit will have partly cloudy sky towards afternoon or evening. Muzaffarabad is likely to have mainly clear sky. Now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserts that the government is committed to enhancing the growth of eastern parts of the country. 7 terrorists gunned down in 2 encounters in South Kashmir. Group of ministers to review COVID-19 situation and expansion of vaccination across the country. More than 131,000 new coronavirus cases reported in last 24 hours. Complete lockdown to be imposed in Chhattisgarh capital Raipur from this evening till 19th April. All preparations in place for the 4th phase of assembly elections in West Bengal tomorrow. Election Commission issues notice to TMC Chief Mamata Banerjee on her statements against central forces. Prime Minister to hold virtual summit with his Dutch counterpart Mark Rutte this evening. And now, before we end, a well-known folk singer of Rajasthan, Seema Mishra, says everyone eligible should get vaccinated and make vaccination festival a massive success.
मैं सीमा मिश्रा सभी से ये अनुरोध करूंगी कि अभी जैसे कोविड का चारों तरफ कोविड फैल रहा है तो उसे देखते हुए मैं सभी से
And with that, we end the midday news.